Hello students, this is Abdelkader Ouda. Welcome to ES 1036 video series. In this video I will be discussing Java arrays. I will talk on how and why we are using arrays. Let's get started. Suppose we need to write a Java program to get 5 numbers from the user and print them in the reverse order. So simply we can assume that the user entered these numbers 5, 3, 4, 1 and 2, and we assume the program going to print this number on the reverse order starting by 2, 1, 4, 3 and 5. So based on what we learned so far, one can start writing this program by defining 5 different variables to hold these numbers and later on print them in the reverse order, something like this. Int number, let us call it number 1, and then another integer, and let us call it number 2, and then the third one number 3, and the fourth one number 4, and the last one we name it also number 5. So if we using the scanner objects, let us assume my scanner object is called input, so I can assign here using my scanner object and then call next int for the first one, same thing for the second, for the last, and for the fifth one. Again, I'm going to use the same scanner and I'm going to use this for the 5 variables. Then later on I'm going to use system.out system.out with print line to print the last number here, number 5, and then going to print again the second number, number 4, and we continue by printing all the rest of the numbers on this reverse order, and then lastly we use the system.out print line to print the last number here, and then we have this order. So this is one way to write this program. Assuming that it's not 5, let us say that going to be changed to reading 10 numbers from the input or 100. So imagine that how many lines going to write here, how many different variables going to define in order to read 10 or 100 input from the user and then print them on the reverse order. So it's not the right way to write this program. So why are we writing this way? We are doing this because primitive variables are designed to hold one single value at a time. So this variable here going to hold only one single value, another one value, so we need to define different variables for each different value. It seems that this is not the right way to implement this program. Fortunately, we can do the same task in a better way by defining an array. Arrays, it simply help us to define a collection of values under the same name with some indices. So let us look how can we do this program in better way using arrays. So array allow us to define a collection of values and we can represent them by this way. I have here a collection of different values, and based on my program I need to read and store 5 values, so I can create an array that hold 5 different elements. And by defining an array, we're going to have 5 different elements with 5 different subscripts. And this will define an array of 5 elements. Each has different index. So the first element is going to have index 0, the second element is going to have an index 1, and then index 2, index 3, and then the last one, index 4. We end up here, we have 5 elements with the indices start from 0 to 4, and we can give this array one single name only. So let us assume that I'm going to give the name numbers. So if I need to store a value for the first element, I write it that way: numbers sub 0 equal 5, for example the first one here. Then going to assign 5 here in this first element in the array. To store the second integer, also use the same name of the array, numbers sub 1, to refer to the second element in the array. And let us assume I'm going to assign this the value 3. Then 3 will be saved in the second element in the array. And if I going to store 4, I'm going to use again the same name, numbers sub 2, to refer to the third element in the array. And let us assign it to 4. We keep doing this to show you here. We use the same name with different subscripts. We call it numbers sub 3 to assign the value 1, and then the last element. So we have here 4, 1 for the last element. We're going to use the same name again, numbers sub 4 equal 2. Then we save 2 in the last element. So the array has only one name, and in addition to indices, we can refer to every individual element in the array using the array name and the index number, something like this. And keep in mind that all the arrays indices start from 0 up to the length of the array. Well, how do we define arrays in Java? So here in this example, I need to store 5 elements of type integer. So I need to use the data type int, followed by open square brackets, close square brackets, and then the name of the arrays. I give it the name numbers. So I write here numbers, and then I need to create the actual location in the main memory that store 5 different elements. So I'm going to use the keyword new and of type int, and here I need to assign the size of my collection or the array. It's of size 5. So this line here, we're going to create 5 locations in the main memory with the name numbers, and then we can access or refer to every individual element using the array name and the index number, as we did here in these statements. Doing this way will help us to write this program in better way with less number of statements and make it scalable. Whether it is 5 elements, 10 elements, or 100 elements, we don't need to add any extra line in the code. Let us look at the IDE and see how can we write this in the Java code. Okay, here I defined 5 different variables as I showed it to you on the previous screen, and then I use the print to print them in the reverse order. I define them number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I print them 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. To execute this program, we have here to enter, for example, any numbers. Let us say 5, 4, 6, 7, and then 1. Then the program going to display them in this order. Good. We said that we can write this in a better way. You know that if we need to read 100 numbers, then we need to repeat this and we need to define 100 different variables, and we said that we can do it in the better way using an array. So I'm going to remove these lines and start to show you how can we use an array to write it in some scalable way and better than this. So first I'm going to start to define an array of type int. Again, open closing square brackets, and then give the number for my array. I call it numbers, and then I'm going to use the keyword new of type int, and then I give the size here as 5. Okay, so here the size 5 is a fixed number. I'm going to use it along the program without the change. So if this is the case, we recommend to you define this as a constant variable and then use the constant variable name instead of the 5. So I'm going to define here constants, which is final. Let us call it n and give it the value 5. And then here when I define the array, I need to use the variable n instead of 5. Good. So here I defined an array of size n, and the value of n is 5, and I need to use the same scanner to read the input from the keyboard or from the user and assign every single element, every single number to the element of the array. And you know that we can access the array element by using the index of the elements, and this started from 0 to 4. So I'm going to use for loop here, and the for loop going to step 5 times starting from the value 0 to the value 4. So I'm going to use a for loop with the index, I call it I, starting from the value 0, and keep repeat as long as this I less than the value or the variable n, and each time we increment this I by 1 value. And inside this for loop, I need to assign, I need to use the scanner to get integer value from the keyboard and assign it to the elements of the array. So the first element of the array is simply numbers sub 0. So I'm not going to use 0 here, I'm going to use I, and then assign this element what we want to read from the scanner. Next end. So here we done for this part. Instead of having these 5 different variables and each we use the scanner to assign these variables, I'm using here an array and repeat this statement using a for loop, and each time we reference to the variable using the array name and the index number. Once we finish reading 5 different values and assign it to the array elements, then I need to print them in the screen. And also I'm going to use for loop to scan this element in the array and print them in the reverse order. So I'm going to use again similar for loop, and I'm using also index I, but in order to read or to access the elements in the reverse order, I need to start from the last element of the array and moving down to the first element. So I want to have the value should be the value 4, and in this case need to be the variable n minus 1. So if n equal 5, then we start by the element 4, and then we keep repeat this loop as long as I is greater than or equal to 0, because we need to read 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. And then instead of increment I, we need to decrement I by one value for each step. And then here inside the body of the loop, I need to write the value of the array using system.out.println, and here I need to write the value of the array, which is the array name, numbers, and then the index I, so I need to write numbers sub 4, print numbers sub 3, numbers sub 2, numbers sub 1, and numbers sub 0. So this loop we're going to do this task. So as you can see here, this is what I have. The first loop read 5 numbers and assign to the array. The second loop scan the array and print them in the reverse order. Let us run this program and compare the results. So if I have here 5 numbers, you can see here I have 5 numbers, and then the program print them in the reverse order. Good. So what's the benefit for doing so? You may notice that we may have similar lines of code from this approach and this approach. So let us assume that I need to read 10 different numbers. So what I did here, simply I just adjust the size of the array, and instead of 5 make it 10, and no need to add any extra line here. So in the previous approach, if I need to read 10 different numbers, I need to define here 10 different variables. So let us run this program, and you can see here the program is ready to read 10 different numbers and going to display them in different order. So I'm entering here 10 different numbers. You can see here the program run the same way and print them in different order. So whether it is 5, 10, or 100, we simply adjust the size of the array and then run the program normally. So as you can see here, we be able to write a scalable program, and this is one of the benefits for using arrays. So I hope that you find this video useful and beneficial. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.